So you got a nice treat coming up on Sunday. You got the Bengals and the Pats, huh? Tom Brady's first game back at Gillette. That place is going to be absolutely sizzling off the hook. You got to be fired up.
Yeah, it's going to be frenetic there. I talked to some people that have been with the Patriots for 17 years, all the years that Bill Belichick has been there, and they told me that they have never gotten more ticket requests in all their years working for the Patriots than this game with Tom Brady returning. We understand how provincial that area is to begin with, and just how much emotion was involved in everything that's gone down over the last year and change in relation to Deflategate. I think these fans want to come out, support him as best they can, as we know they normally do, but at the next level, take it to a point where they're sending a message to the commissioner's office and to the NFL on a whole that, hey, we've moved past it, we understand, but we haven't forgotten. And Tom Brady is Mr. Popularity in New England, as we know. He's basically become a native of that area. So I expect a really incredible atmosphere, and a team that we saw last week benefited from his return. No rust whatsoever. He was in complete command. It was really a virtuoso performance by him.
Yeah, you know, there's that debate that's always raised about Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, which one could live without the other type of thing. And obviously they did well without Tom Brady. But, I mean, there's something, and I'm sure you'll address this, about this man, Tom Brady. Either you love him, you hate him, you kind of don't know, you kind of want to look at his wife instead, whatever it is. Everybody has an opinion about Tom Brady, but at the end of the day, he just balls. I mean, we get distracted by the nonsense around him, but he is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's interesting. And Tiki, I know this from personal experience. When we go in for production meetings and we meet with the players, when you were with the Giants, we got a different side of you.
Yeah.
We got the one-on-one, no cameras, look you in the eye, very different sense of the person. And the goal for the announcers then is to articulate that in some way, but it doesn't dominate the broadcast, but it becomes part of the fabric of what you're doing. With Tom Brady, if you sit down with Tom Brady, you walk away liking him. There's no other way to feel.
Yeah.
He's a likable guy. There's a reason why he can push the buttons that he pushes for that team. He can challenge guys the way that he does, and he gets back the results that he's looking for because there is a respect level. There is an understanding that he works as hard as anybody and works at his craft, doesn't take anything for granted, leaves no stone unturned. So I get it. When most people are watching the game, they're not thinking about it in those terms. But you just hit on something that is the reality. All the nonsense, all the drama, all of the headlines, it's irrelevant when the game starts. He makes everybody around him better, and he's done that for a long time. Very early in his career, you could sense that from him.
We're talking to Ian Eagle. He's got the Bengals and the Pats coming up this weekend. Of course, one of the main voices, CBS, NFL on CBS, and got the game tonight along with Twitter and the NFL Network, Broncos and the Chargers. So the sit-downs with Tom Brady are very gratifying. I would imagine it's pretty much the complete antithesis when Mr. Belichick rolls in. Does he ever let his hair down and have a little fun? Ever?
If you go off topic, if you go to NFL history, if you go into just general history, something that connects to him, lacrosse, yes, he will. You'll get a smile, you'll get a chuckle, you'll get an anecdote. You might get an extended answer to something. But the moment that you're talking about his team, his plan, his philosophy, no, it's not going to happen. It's not the way he does things. And the fact that he's won the way that he's won, I think there's still a respect level when you walk in the room of, okay, this is the way it is.
Yeah.
This isn't 60 Minutes. We're not going to get stuff that he doesn't want to share.
Understood. And it's, I guess the quicker you guys learn that and adhere to the, I'll put quotes around the word rules, probably the better off for you. But, I said this to Tiki when he was at the podium talking about Tom Brady. Now, I know he's not going to be overly effusive in his praise and he's not going to start cracking jokes, but I thought he could have shown a little more warmness, a little more, I don't know, just something, just a little more respect maybe toward an all-time legend of the game. It's like he treated him like a third-string backup.
Yeah, I think so. All of that respect, Brandon, is shown behind the scenes and in all the time that's spent between those two guys, the mutual admiration that they've developed for one another. I get it. I understand in the public forum that often will shape the way that fans might perceive things, but I don't think Bill plays that kind of game, and he doesn't think of it in those terms. When it's important, when it's a real important, pivotal moment to make a statement about a player, you hear what Bill truly believes about a guy. And I remember, man, it must have been a couple of years ago, they were honoring Kevin Falk. And Kevin had already retired. And Kevin had a nice career in the NFL, certainly played a big role for the Patriots. And I asked him a fairly innocuous question about Kevin Falk, thinking I would get maybe 20 seconds worth of material to use on the air because they were honoring him at halftime.
Mm-hmm.
He went on for 11 minutes.
Wow.
It struck me that once he's outside of it, once he's detached from it, he will absolutely fill you in on his true feelings. But when he's in it, I don't believe that he goes there. It's just not in his mindset to give you what you need or what you want in that moment.
I'm talking to Ian Eagle, of course, from CBS, and he's with us here on Tiki and Tierney.
Ian, the other side of the matchup that you have this weekend is the Bengals and Marvin Lewis, and sitting at 2-3 right now behind the Steelers. And I wonder about how he presents himself. Because there's this narrative that he's a loser, right? He just can't figure it out, which belies the fact that he's actually been fantastic for the last 4 or 5 years in the regular season. It's just they can't get over that hurdle in the postseason. How should we view him as a head coach?
Yeah, he's a really interesting case study because he's done a tremendous job with an organization that could find no stability, no continuity. He's provided it. He's been there 14 years. He's the second longest tenured head coach in the NFL behind Bill Belichick, 17 years for Belichick. Obviously, the main difference, Belichick has had unparalleled success in the postseason, and Marvin Lewis has had unparalleled failure in many ways. He's 0-7 as a playoff coach. They lose every year in the wild card round. They cannot get over the hump. They have a really good roster, and I think he's been a big part of putting that together. He and Mike Brown, the owner and the general manager of the team. They've systematically improved every aspect of that organization. And yes, they do take chances on some guys. And some of those guys can lose their cool, as we saw in the playoff game against Pittsburgh, Arntez Perfect and Adam Jones. Talented players, they have to weigh that risk-reward over the style that they bring and also the attitude and the edge that they play with. I still believe this team is absolutely 100% behind Marvin Lewis, that he has a really good finger on the pulse in that locker room. They've had a tough schedule. They've had a challenging schedule, and they walk into a really difficult spot this week with New England and Tom Brady returning. They're still one of the better teams in the AFC. How that plays itself out and how this team responds to adversity will be what determines whether or not they can achieve what we think they could achieve, which was being a playoff team and maybe even vying for a spot in the big one.
Yeah.
But right now, they're off right now. I've done enough of their games this year to tell you they're off. Defensively, they're not the team they were a year ago, and offensively, without Tyler Eifert, they are clearly missing a red zone weapon that they have not replaced.